Hey guys, in this video we're going to take a quick look at the Eachine Stack X F4. This is an all-in-one system here. Basically you got a HD camera and FPV camera all in one with the board that records a micro SD card here, kind of like a RunCam split. And then on top of that you do get a F4 flight controller with a video transmitter built in, and then you also get a 4-in-1 BLE S ESC. It's 35 amps, and it does come all assembled like this. The actual camera itself is connected here. I just removed that to actually show it on camera without actually bending this cable too much, which you want to avoid. You don't want to do that too much, otherwise you could possibly damage the cable. I kind of wish they would have given you a spare one, but one is not included. You do get a couple of these micro FL to SMA adapters here for the video transmitter, and then they do give you an RPSMA and an SMA version, so you get both. The power lead is not pre-soldered on, but they do provide the XT60 with the actual silicon wire here. I think this is a 14 gauge wire. You do get some braiding to make it a little nice and neat if you want. And then the XT60 connector itself is there, along with some extra nylon standoffs. Now, as I said, it's all pre-assembled here with some pretty large standoffs here, so not sure if this stack will fit in a lot of frames unless you use these shorter standoffs or do some sort of other method of mounting. However, I'm not going to be using these standoffs here because this flight controller has one of the sensitive gyros. It's a 32K gyro, but it's the ICM 20608 gyro, I believe, which is one of the sensitive ones. So it requires soft mounting. So I'm actually going to go ahead and disassemble all of this here, take it apart, and then we'll look at each board individually in a little closer detail. Okay, so I actually disassembled the stack here, and we'll take a little closer look at that in a second, but I want to look at the camera a little bit closer first. It's a 1080p camera. It supposedly does 60 frames per second. The FPV field of view is 130 degrees horizontally and 98 degrees vertically, so it's not super wide. It is a fairly hefty camera here. This is anodized aluminum here. It's purple, and it's quite a bit larger than the RunCam split. I don't know if you guys remember my videos from the RunCam split. It's about the size of the RunCam Mini Swift. I got one here, and uses the Stack X camera uses the same hole pattern as the Mini Swift. You can see, and it's a similar size. I think it's about 21 millimeters, I believe. Should go ahead and measure this. And so it's actually 22 millimeters in one direction, and in the other direction it's about 20 millimeters. So I think that in the vertical direction it's about 20 millimeters, in the horizontal direction it's about 22 millimeters. So this camera should fit most mounting solutions for the Swift and the Mini Swift here in terms of the hole pattern, but you can see that the length is very, very different. It's much, much longer, so you're going to need a lot of extra space between the mounting area of the camera and, say, where your flight controller is. Otherwise you're going to have issues with setting your camera angle, etc. And actually I'm not exactly sure the orientation of if this is right side up or if this is right side up, but yeah, it's going to, where this is on your frame is going to matter, and actually I guess this size here and this length here is going to determine what kind of frame you can put this in, so you probably want to keep that in mind. And let's go ahead and just give you that measurement, because I know people are asking me. It's 24 millimeters from the front here to the back of the camera. Okay, so taking a look at the three boards here, they're all put together here, and some of these wires are soldered on, so you can't take them off. But you can see here you got the 4-in-1 ESC. You have two wires here for power and ground that are directly soldered to the battery lead, so that's VBAT, and that goes to your directly to your F4 flight controller here. So there must be some sort of a 5-volt regulator on the board itself. Because here we have a boot button, looks like there. There's your Betaflight OSD, and these are your signal wires from the ESC to the flight controller. I think this flight controller does have a SD card slot for black box data. You have your gyro here, and then if you're not looking, you'll probably miss it, but apparently this chip right here is the video transmitter. And let's see if I can get that to focus. It's probably not going to be able to see that, but yeah, that's this chip here, the RTC 705 chip is actually used in a lot of video transmitters, and I was like, where's the video transmitter? Because usually there's like a heatsink or something there, but this is the chip that actually is the video transmitter. And then from the flight controller, you have 3 wires here. You have power, ground, and video that goes to the camera, and then the camera board is this one here. Of course, the camera connects here, and this is the processing unit for the camera. Your micro SD card goes into this slot here, and then you have your power and I guess mode buttons here, and then you have a little microphone there. But that's all the connections you have here for the camera itself. And back onto the flight controller, you do have this servo lead that comes out of here that's pre-soldered on. That's for your receiver, and there's some silk screening here on the board itself. Basically shows you that's probably for either PPM or S-Bus. And then the actual manual itself here is pretty good, and it does go over all the pinouts. It actually provides instructions and pictures on how to configure this in Betaflight configurators, so the instructions are actually pretty good. Okay, and speaking of the instructions, something kind of unusual about this product. The power is switchable on the video transmitter, but it is not smart audio. It uses CLI commands to switch from 200 milliwatts and 500 milliwatts, but it is labeled here or explained here in the instructions, so it's pretty self-explanatory. If you can follow the instructions, put in the CLI commands to switch your power, and then it also gives you instructions for setting your band and your channel according to the chart here. So you just have to figure out what band and channel you're on in this chart, and then put in the appropriate commands in the CLI, and then that will switch your channel and band and power in the video transmitter for you. Okay, so that's going to do it for this quick overview of the Eachine Stack X. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be putting this in. Obviously I'm going to need a frame that's going to be able to accommodate this camera, and I'll probably need some sort of an adapter to fit most frames, because this is 22 millimeters, and most cameras or camera mounts are going to be in the 26 to 28 millimeter range for a lot of frames. So I'm going to have to come up with something creative, maybe 3D print something to get this into a frame, because the length of this camera here is much longer than a normal FPV camera, so that's going to provide a challenge. If you guys have any ideas on a frame that would work well with this setup, let me know in the comments below. Maybe it's one of the ones I've already reviewed, or if there's one that I haven't, do let me know in the comments below. But I'll have obviously another video on this soon. I'll put this in something, and then we'll see what the video is like, and whether the flight controller has issues with vibrations, because I'm definitely going to have to soft mount this. I'm pretty sure this gyro is going to be sensitive to vibrations, so definitely have to, that's going to be another consideration for the frame I put this into, so I'll figure that out at some point, and I'll have another video pretty soon, so stay tuned, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.